needs help, someone maybe is threatening them or attacking them, they're in a bad situation, but you have no means to defend yourself. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. The person that's coming at you or your loved one has a weapon, but you don't know how or you can't defend yourself. When these things happen, many people want to take action when there's mass shootings or someone dies. Lots of people think, well, if we just take away all the guns, then there won't be any more mass shootings. No more people will die. But in reality, I want to argue that that's not the case. We must allow people to have the means to defend themselves. Some of the reasons for this is because criminals don't follow laws. Removing guns, as we can see from other countries, actually increases the homicide rate. Gun-free zones essentially end up being what equates to a slaughterhouse. People have no means of defending themselves. And also it is a guaranteed right by the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. So, first example, removing guns actually increases the homicide rate. So I have a graph here, which is based on Great Britain. So this is between the years of 1990 and 2012. And here we have homicides per million of people. It goes from 10 to 19. Starts 1990. They passed a handgun ban of all handguns in 1997, which is at this red line. As you can see, the statistic is fairly stable until the ban is passed. After this, over the course of the next few years, it increases dramatically. Then slowly we get somewhat of a downfall. The downfall here is because they increased their police force by 50% of police presence. And when it did decrease, it essentially went back to the same rate as it was before they passed the handgun ban. This ban essentially leaves everyone completely defenseless. There could be some cases in a waterlogged country like Great Britain where maybe it's harder for criminals to get guns. They don't have a border with a country like Mexico or Canada. What that actually means, yes, it's harder for criminals to get, but if someone's breaking into a woman's house up against a man, she can't defend herself. There's not really much she can do. If that man is stronger than her, larger than her, if she doesn't know any self-defense tactics, there's really not much she can do. Another reason that guns should be allowed is because of the gun-free zone situation. Every single mass shooting that has happened over the last several decades have been in a gun-free zone. Criminals don't care if guns aren't allowed. They know that every person in that gun-free zone is probably a law-abiding citizen that's following the law and doesn't want a felony. So they know that there's not going to be anyone in that building that's going to be able to stop them. It can take a police officer up to about 5 minutes to respond to an emergency situation. In those 5 minutes, think of how many people can die from gunshot wounds. It could be tens, up to 100 people, depending upon the weapon that's used. Another reason that guns should be allowed is because of the Second Amendment. The founding fathers of our country understood that, even aside from self-defense reasons, guns should be allowed to defend against a tyrannical government. We have seen in history different countries that have banned guns, that have had dictators take over. For example, if you look in the 1940s, Adolf Hitler, he took over. The population was not able to defend itself. You have millions of people that were hauled off and murdered, and there is nothing they could do about it. In this country, since there's about 270 million is the approximate estimation of how many guns there are in this country. If someone comes knocking at your door and you don't want them there is something that you could probably do about it, or at least you could try. Whereas if there are no guns, there's nothing we can do. We have no defense. Lastly, and most importantly, is that, again, criminals don't follow laws. They don't care how you feel at all. They don't care what the laws are. They don't care about your household or your children or your personal safety. All they want is to commit their crime, whether it's they want to steal things, it could be sexual assault, especially in the case of women. Most women are not as strong as men. It's just a fact. There are some exceptions to this, but in most cases, most women are just not as strong as men. Also, criminals, being criminals, tend to get guns from illegal sources. So even if we completely banned guns, odds are those criminals are going to be able to get guns either by stealing them from people that kept them, stealing them from family members that they may know about. They could smuggle them across borders. There's many different ways that they could still obtain guns. There's no reason to think that a criminal couldn't get a gun if they didn't want one. This happens all the time. Even in countries where guns are completely banned, they can still find ways to ship them into countries and use them for serious crimes if they want to. And that leaves all of the law-abiding citizens completely defenseless. There's nothing we can do except wait for the police to show up and hope that we'll still be alive. In conclusion, it is very important that the right to bear arms is left intact in this country. Taking it away would cost many, many lives. This is due to the gun-free zones, the fact that criminals don't follow laws, and the importance of the Second Amendment. In the end, I would recommend that everyone support your rights, and during the next election, consider voting for someone that would take very seriously your right to bear arms and not try to restrict your means of self-defense.